7 p.m. Just a quick note before we get started, folks, on Mayor Bain's absence, I'll be acting mayor for tonight's meeting. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order, please. And Christina, can you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Erickson.
Here.
Councilmember Roberts.
Here.
Councilmember Valento.
Here.
Acting Mayor Husnick.
Here. And if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone get a chance to look at the agenda. I look for a motion to approve the agenda.
Also move.
Second.
Other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And our agenda is approved. Item number 5 is our open forum. This is an opportunity for residents to express their personal opinions on any item of business when we give you that you want to talk about, and we'll give you 3 minutes. So the first one on our list here is Aaron. Yeah, please give us your name and address for the record.
Hello.
Yeah.
My name is Aaron Eckert. I live at 6733 210th Street North, Forest Lake. I had a couple items I wanted to go over. First one being, this was my family's first year involved in the Forest Lake Hockey Association, and great experience. But one thing that was made apparent to us is they're trying to build this program up. It's not where some of our neighbor cities their programs are at. And one thing I've noticed is when I look at Tower Park, like this year, the weather was terrible, so it was open for like a week or 2 weeks. But it sits dormant the rest of the year as a dirt ring, right? So I'm wondering if potentially we can put a sport court in there maybe, or even artificial ice. I know that's probably unrealistic because it's expensive, but a sport court so kids can go play roller hockey and get more involved in the sport and have more opportunity to actually play it. Then it's limited at the hockey rink. There's no drop-in hockey. There's no open skate. You have to go to Blaine to go do anything like that for our youth. And I think it'd be something that would be good if we could put sport courts down, because you can just put the tarp over the top of it and flood it in the winter. So it would just make it more of a useful space than what it is currently. The second item I had is, does the city have a plan if HF 3459 is passed in our state legislature and the governor signs it? Because that's the sanctuary state bill that's out there. And as many other communities have found with sanctuary cities, resources get taken up. There's kids that have been kicked out of schools and had to do distance learning in some municipalities because they've got to put the migrants somewhere. And in my book, until Xcel Energy Center, US Bank Stadium, and Riverside are fully occupied with people on cots, we should not be giving up any of our funded facilities for children as far as schools and everything else, because it does present a challenge, not only from a resource standpoint, but the children in the schools, where Texas has schools that have been closed down that were English speaking, that are solely Spanish speaking schools. And I don't pretend to know what everybody's political spectrum is, but reality is reality, and it's occurring in the major cities, and we're wanting to make our whole state that way. And it's going to potentially impact us. So we'd like to know if we have a plan for that, and if so, what that plan is. Third item is Republic Services. When is that contract up for the city to be renegotiated? Because I've had since November 2020 a 29.8% increase in my fees. Now, to me, I'm fortunate in my family, that's not impactful to my family to open up a bill and I'm paying $15 more. But there's several families in this community that they open a bill. I should be able to open a bill for my trash company and know it's not going to be a $10 hike like it was this month from the last one in January. And as a resident of this community, I have no choice in where I can go. That's been made by people on this, maybe not you guys, previous boards or whatever, but is that coming back up? Because personally, I liked SRC. I would like to have choice. You know, I don't want to say it should all be SRC. Citizens should have their own choice of both places will service our community. And that's all I had.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's all the folks that we have signed up. Was there anybody online at all? Anybody in the audience that would like to speak on a subject tonight? Please, sure, go ahead, come on.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Just a quick something. My name is Nicholas Hegberg. My only concern was for Belts Park. Thank you, Christina, for getting back to me with the email right away. That was really nice. And Blake, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to see if how we're doing on like a parks commission, if that's something that's that we're working on. Also, just wanted to show my support for Belts Park and just try and get things going with that. That park is pretty bad. I did send some pictures to Christina, and you know, if I could share them with the rest of you, that'd be great too. But yeah, just something to think about. And I'll be at next week's meeting too, just once I gather more information. I'm kind of late to the party as far as this issue goes because, well, I live in the area. I live right by St. Peter's, and we've kind of been watching the park, and we're expecting, you know, some work to be done to it. And then kind of we're wondering what happened. I need to get better at, you know, getting with the times and everything, but looked it up online, read an article in the Fort Lake Times about, you know, funding, and it really kind of, I don't know what was true in that article and what wasn't, but, you know, I guess I'm still trying to get kind of information on that. So whatever you guys can share about, you know, kind of what's happening with that, that'd be great too. So yeah, Belts Park is my only concern. So,
All right, well,
yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
You know, maybe by next week, and then we can have some answers for them or
Sure.
something.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Was anyone else like to speak in open forum? Okay. We'll close the open forum portion and we'll move on with our business at hand here. So we have a consent agenda. It's consent agenda 6A through 6I.
Sam,
Mhm.
could I make a comment in response to the first speaker's
Sure.
question? So the Republic Service, I think this is a good opportunity for public education. That contract is up for renewal. We are planning to move forward with them. What we're seeing from those increases are not controlled by Republic Service or Waste Management or any of the other providers. It's the tipping fee, they call it, that is determined by the county. And they don't have control over that. They're just a pass-through to us. And that is what's driven, in my understanding, that increase to our costs as residents. I experienced the same thing as you and the frustration, but it's not Republic Services. They've actually been very kind to us from an annual, you know, modification to their pricing. So I just thought it'd be a good time to
That's
point
okay.
that out.
We just don't want to get into the details because a
No, I
lot of times
understand.
It'd just be nice to get
they can
a
get details from.
notification. They send me an email from my bill. It'd
Sure.
be nice to get a notification. Hey, what's
Well,
going on? Because
We can't discuss it any further, so if you get more information from Christina or whoever, you know, so we can move on with our agenda. Appreciate it, thank you. We do understand your concerns. Okay, the consent agenda 6A through 6I. Is there anyone that would want to pull any of those items?
I would consider just a conversation if we'd be interested in pulling 6D, the scheduling agreement. I know there's some changes there, and with everything, all parks that we're going to be talking about, I don't know, is there any interest from anyone else in the council to pull that on a regular agenda item? Just have just a walkthrough on that.
Yeah, and what number was it?
That is 6D.
D, for field scheduling, okay. So if that's I'd make a motion that we approve consent agenda 6A, B, C, skipping D, so there would be E, F, G, H, and I.
I'll second.
Further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, and go ahead, Blake.
Would you want to do that as the first agenda item then?
Yeah, sure, we'll
Okay.
finish up the consent agenda.
So it looks like Abby, and then there was an option there reading through it that, you know, if we wanted to pull through, there was pull it out, there was a recommendation, but if you could just maybe walk through a little bit where we were at. I understand it's been successful, but then it sounds like there's some changing on maybe doing other parks as well that the school district would be helping us, or maybe I missed it?
The partnership that the city has had with the school district has been going on for a couple of years, and it's been just kind of this, small tweaks to keep improving it process. I think the first year we started out, it may have only been Fenway, but we've included other facilities. It's predominantly scheduling our athletic facilities. So all of our fields, now we have pickleball courts at Fenway. But they essentially utilize their software to schedule user groups on our facilities. So it's giving, we pay them directly, the school district directly for this service, but that is then paid by the user groups that pay us. So there isn't really changes from the actual operations from the last couple of years. The only change would be is this year we had been offering community education, free use of city facilities. It's very, very nominal for the community education programs, just as a means to help support some of that other recreational youth programming in the community. But other than that, there really isn't anything in the field scheduling aspect of our park operations that's changing. There's other things, that we'd like to talk about in the coming weeks, just in terms of the use of the facilities and how we continue to manage and maintain them. But this is kind of its own independent system, so.
That's what you're looking for? Okay. I'd entertain a motion that, or if you want.
Yeah, so that I would, motion that we approve the field scheduling agreement with the Forest Lake Area School District for this upcoming year.
I'll second.
Okay, any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. So that takes care of our agenda, our consent agenda. Okay, our regular agenda item number 7A, we're having a public hearing tonight. Liquor license violations. Amanda Johnson, you're going to help us with that?
Yes, Your Honor. Let's pull that for you, Abby.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Are we good?
You might have to adjust your settings to display a different monitor. There you go.
Perfect. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you, Honor Counsel. So in your packet, starting on page, I believe it's 65, is the 2023 liquor license compliance check failures related to liquor license compliance checks, it's hard to say, that were done back in November. So the Forest Lake PD conducts age compliance checks for all of the businesses who have a liquor license with the city. They conducted those on November 16th, 2023. A compliance check involves an individual who is under the age of 21 who attempts to purchase an alcoholic beverage. They cannot lie about their age and must show their actual ID if they're asked for that ID. If they're successful in purchasing an alcoholic beverage, they notify the police who are waiting outside the building, who come in, confirm the sale, and then if applicable, if they confirm that there was in fact a sale, issue the related citations. City code section that governs this is section 119.22 to 119.24. Licensees are entitled to a hearing regarding the violation. This is that hearing, and licensees may be represented by counsel and must be given an opportunity to be heard and present evidence. I'm honestly not sure. Okay, I'm not sure if we have anybody in the audience, so we'll get to that part. So what happens is City Council listens to the evidence and makes their findings. So you'll receive the city's evidence, which is what I'm doing now and what's also in your packet, and then the licensee also needs to be provided an opportunity to present evidence to you if they have any. If you find a violation, city code dictates a minimum penalty. In this case, we have two licensee violations. Both are a first-time penalty, so it's a $500 fine. Okay, so the two parties that we're talking about tonight are Forest Hills Golf Club and Norman Quack's Chop House. Both were personally served notice of this license hearing on February 21st. At this time, I would ask that council receive the evidence provided in the council packet, starting on page 64, running through page 73. Yes? Thank you. We'll talk about Forest Hills Golf Club first, and they are on page 65 to 67. The facts in that situation: November 16th, 2023, at approximately 11:21 a.m., underage buyer purchased a Mango White Claw, which is an alcoholic beverage. The server there did not ask for age or identification, and server admitted that she did not check for age verification. In your packet on page 65 through 67 is the violation notice and the corresponding police report. We'll go ahead and put a pin in this one for 1 second. Norman Quack's Chop House, this is page 69 to 71. The facts in this situation are November 16th, 2023, at approximately 12:50 p.m. An underage buyer purchased something called a Norman's Bacon, which is an alcoholic mixed drink. The server asked for and looked at the underage buyer's driver's license and then asked why they still had a provisional license. The license states on it that the individual was under 18 until 7/30 of 2023. When the server was asked, she stated that she was not looking at the date on the license. Oh, sorry. Okay, so at this point, if there is either one of the two parties in attendance, could you please tell me which one you are?
Forest Hills.
Forest Hills, okay. So I will go ahead and let Forest Hills come up here and he can present whatever he would like to present, and then I'll come back up here and walk you through the final steps.
Yeah, we're going to do one at a time, right? I mean, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
We're doing and trying to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We had a few extenuating circumstances, like I'm sure everyone that comes before here has. But a couple of changes that we've made already. Before a new hire even steps foot on the floor, they go through all the training instead of doing that kind of as they have, once they've already started, they're quizzed on it as well. We explain to them how important this is, why we're doing it, and why it's important. And it's not just it's not just compliance; it's also people being overserved or trying to drive and that kind of thing. So we do role playing with it too. Members of a private club can be a little entitled sometimes, and can like to think they're in charge, I guess would be a better way to put it. So we need to be in control of our members, we are empowering our staff to say whatever you have to do your job, especially in relation to this stuff. We have your back 100% of the time. There's never a situation where a member is going to come and yell at you, or is going to yell at me or you or both of us for what's going on. We're behind you 100% of the way. You're doing your job, you're doing what we've asked you to do, and that is just never an issue. We've made changes in our point of sale system with updating with birthdays for all the new members and everyone that comes in. So not something we're taking lightly, just something that kind of slipped through the cracks on us, unfortunately, and that's what we get. So just here to let you know that it's not going to happen again.
Well, we appreciate hearing that because that's a big step forward,
Absolutely.
I'm a member of the American Legion. They had it happen over there, and it got to the point where my suggestion was, I don't care if you're embarrassing somebody, get that ID out of
Right.
there, you know what I mean?
And that's our problem with, other members. I don't want to embarrass them. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I forgot their name.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So it's just like, what? That doesn't matter.
I don't know, are these scanners expensive? I mean, where you can just run a license through it real quick and?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I don't
to
think
that.
they're really too bad. And my thing is, and I've said this at our own club, card everybody that walks in the door. I don't
Right.
care for them,
Right.
and so anyways, we're sorry it happened, but it did.
Yep.
And I think what the improvements you're making is gonna be a big help. And so thanks for your time,
Yeah,
sir.
we want to be something that the club is looked at as a positive for the community, and we're not,
Exactly.
the reason that
Yeah.
people move here is they want to be a member of a
Yeah.
private club somewhere, and we want to, be here for that and
Right.
do the right thing, so.
Thank you, sir. The question I have for Amanda is, I mean, hands are kind of tied here, right? I mean, we don't have much choice here, or do we, or what's?
Yes, Your Honor, Counsel. So under the city code, you are correct. The minimum penalty for a first violation, assuming that you find that there was a first violation, is a $500 civil penalty. The second violation within 24 months would be a $1,000 penalty and a 1-day suspension. And those are the minimal penalties. The council has the discretion to increase the penalty. I did not provide any sort of facts to support an upward departure, but that is obviously within your
Yeah,
discretion.
but we don't have an option to go down either, right?
No, Your Honor,
Yeah.
not the way that the ordinance is currently written.
Just one of those things, and I don't
Yep.
think we have much of a choice, so,
No, I'm not asking
Yeah.
for anything, so.
okay. Well, thank you, sir.
No,
Frank,
I
for your
appreciate
time.
it. Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
Did you want to talk about the other one right away?
Yes,
Amanda?
so first for the Forest Hills Golf Club, I just need confirmation from council, a motion will work, that there was a determination that they failed their 2023 compliance check, and that you are imposing the minimum penalty.
Okay, then we get to talk to them afterwards? Okay.
So this is for Forest Hills Golf, and then we'll talk about Norman Quacks next.
Okay, so unfortunately, I have to make a motion that we determine that Forest Hills was in violation, and it was their very first violation. And so therefore, there would be a $500 civil penalty that goes with it, which is mandatory.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, the second violation was from Norman Quack's Chop House, and so we already walked through those facts as well.
Yeah, they're here.
We do have somebody from Norman Quack, so if they would like the opportunity to tempt the speaker, the microphone.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm afraid of that now.
You know, if, it's working, so if you get, like, within here, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my name, I'm going to read from paper. I talk to people all day long, but I'm a little intimidated. So my name is Monique Scamser. My husband Gordon and I have owned Norman Quacks for 23 years in Forest Lake and another one in Stillwater. I will try to be succinct and brief because I'm aware of how long these meetings go on for you all. I was on a school board and Gordy was a volunteer fireman for 22 years, so we appreciate your time. Gordon and I have not failed in alcohol compliance in 22 of our 23 years. I was the person that sold to this young man. I had a moment of lapse in judgment. There was confusion with his ID and his paperwork. I did want to point out that it says was age asked, and that says no, but that was the first question I asked the young man is I said, are you 21? And that's when he brought out his paperwork and his ID. But anyway, later in talking to the officers, I was explaining how stunned and in disbelief I was with my own failure. One of the officers said she was surprised when the agent got served. In her years doing the jobs, Quacks had never failed. Her comment made me think, I've been vigilant for 23 years with my staff and myself and our operation, and so I'm not going to beat myself up today. The reason I tell you this is the comments on the back of this summons is kind of out of context and is a misrepresentation of the circumstance. First and foremost, in our restaurant, Gordy and I have embraced liquor laws and the enforcement of them. We value and prioritize human life over profits. We've strict policies in place for the serving of alcohol and have complied with our own policies for 23 years. Training includes proper carding, how to recognize signs of impairment, and tips on how to handle that situation. Tips on how to resist over-serving and letting staff know that they never have to handle those tough conversations. Myself, Gordy, and a few key employees will always handle it for them. I have many past and present employees who would write letters telling of their training and in their experiences in selling of alcohol. I brought a couple of the letters with me tonight if you want the copies. Lastly, by speaking here tonight, it is not my intention to avoid accountability or responsibility for what happened that day. Just want to set it straight and establish that this event was an exception in our business practices. The words written on the summons did not fully capture the situation nor my response.
Thank you for
That's
your
all I
time.
got.
First of all, I just want to say you guys have a great restaurant.
That's
We've,
kind.
we've
Thank
been
you.
there several times, and it's really good. So it's just one of these unfortunate things that has happened here, so we have to make a decision on that, so.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak to this particular, no? It is a public hearing, but it's up to you. Okay, well, no, I'm just asking if anybody else, okay, we'll move on then, and so we'll close the public hearing portion of these and make a determination here, so.
Yes, Your Honor. So this is for the Norman Quack's Chop House, and I would be looking for council to make a determination if they did in fact failed the 2023 liquor license compliance check, and then if so, impose the minimum penalty of $500. Again, like the previous one, you have the ability to go above the minimum penalty. I did not provide any facts to substantiate a upward departure, but that is on your discretion. You do not have discretion with the minimum penalty. That is, as the ordinance is currently written, a mandatory minimum penalty.
Okay, thank you. Anyone care to make a motion?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it happened, so I'll make a motion that we've determined that Norman Quacks failed their 2023 liquor license compliance check and impose a minimum civil penalty of $500.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other further discussion?
Can I just make a comment?
Oh, of course.
I think this is really, we had two great operations here, one of 23 years, and Forest Hill's been here. The fact that people are taking ownership of things, this is lacking in society, and it's just, I welcome this and appreciate that and all the things you're doing to make those
No
corrections.
question about it. I agree completely. So, anyways, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 7B, accept a donation from Orval Freiler, donation resolution 0311-24-01. Christina, you're gonna help us
Yeah,
with that?
Acting Mayor and Council, so the city received a donation of $200 from Orval Freiler. He gave that donation in recognition of the work that Jill did at the senior center after they had put a puzzle together. She got it framed and mounted up on the wall. And so in your packet is a resolution, and we would recommend that you approve that resolution accepting the donation from Orval Freiler with gratitude.
Anyone care to make a motion or any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 03112401, a resolution accepting a donation to the Forest Lake Senior Center and making the motion with gratitude.
I'll second it. Any further comment? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 7C, we're looking at a donation from the Forest Lake Lions for the scam class presentation, resolution number 03-11-24-02. And Christina, you had that one also?
Yes, Acting Mayor and Council, again, a donation from the Forest Lake Lions in the amount of $500 that they contributed to the senior center when that scam class was held there, I think a month or two ago. And so staff would recommend that you approve the resolution accepting the Forest Lake Lions donation with gratitude.
Okay. Anyone care to make a motion on that one?
Acting Mayor, I'll make a motion that we accept the donation from Forest Lake Lions Club for the scam class and presentation with gratitude.
Second.
Okay, any further comment? All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 7D, Cellular Land Lease at 843 4th Street Southwest. Amanda,
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor and Council. So in your packet is an antenna lease that has been about a year in the making in terms of negotiating with the cell provider. I wanted to take the opportunity to just highlight a situation where staff did a really good job of, frankly, just getting a lot more money for the city. So we have a monopole on 843 Southwest 4th Street, which is the same site as a water tower. The water tower has been decommissioned, it's not in use, but it has not come down yet. But adjacent to that is this monopole with Crown Castle, and they have the ability to have up to 4 cellular tenants on the monopole. They, via AT&T, have 1, and then they have a spot for 3 additional users. Our previous lease with them was paltry $300 a month in rent. The new lease that we have with them will be $2,000 a month in rent for their usage, but we will also be getting 20% of all the rents paid by the other 3, which will be approximately $600 to $800 a month for another primary user. So that's going to be a T-Mobile or a Verizon or, you know, a large carrier. And then there's secondary carriers, spots for 2 of those. Each of those would be approximately $300 to $600 a month as well. So the total income that we'll be getting on the additional subtenants is anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a month. So it's a really significant increase over what we were collecting before. In addition, we now have built in a 4% annual rent increase. And the term is for 25 years. So it cycles through kind of 5-year terms that are automatically renewed. Because of the location of the monopole on this site that potentially could be redeveloped in the future, we also have negotiated a 2-year termination provision where we as the landlord can terminate. That's somewhat unusual in cell tower leases, and that took quite a bit of time to convince them to allow us to do that, to put that in the lease. But so we do have the ability to have them relocate if we need to, for some reason, redevelop the site. One of the things that came up in the course of the negotiations was, right now we have a blue water tower. The blue water tower is coming down. The monopole was originally blue to match the water tower, but is it possible to paint it a neutral color? And we learned it is not possible because it was actually manufactured as blue to match the water tower. And so options to paint would just mean that we'd have something that's chipping paint. So we did not proceed to ask them to paint the pole. I am looking for a motion to approve the attached lease with Crown Castle. One note, the lease in your packet actually has the previous city administrator as the signee. So I would ask that you sign it with minor modification as approved by city attorney so I can tweak those signature pages.
Yeah, I saw that, the name was wrong on that one, so. Anyone have any comments or questions for Amanda?
I just am grateful that we negotiated well this time and we actually got some decent rent.
I agree. What I'm looking for is the right motion.
What's this on,
But go ahead if you want to.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
I'll make a motion that we approve the attached lease with Crown Castle with the minor modifications to update the signatories.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further comment? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, 7E, public safety dollar expenditures. I think Rick and Al are going to explain that to us.
Yeah. Acting Mayor and City Council members, good evening. What Chief Newman and I have for you today is our recommended police and fire equipment purchases utilizing the public safety funding we received at the end of 2023. As you know, we discussed our recommendations with you a couple of times since the beginning of the new year and received direction from you at our last City Council workshop to obtain updated quotes on the equipment and bring them to you for potential approval at tonight's meeting. Chief Newman and I have been very diligent on our selection of specific equipment needs that we feel will greatly benefit both the police department and the fire department. So we're here to answer any questions that you may have of us.
Amanda, I would assume that we want to treat each one separately. I mean, kinda.
If you want to, I think.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I think that you can just make the motion on page 135
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
to approve the recommended equipment totaling and just say the total,
Okay.
that will work.
Okay, before we do that, I just want to ask the council if they've had a chance to look through it and if that's what they agree with.
I just have a question based off of that workshop. I feel like the conversation wasn't fully concluded, or it seemed like there was gonna be another conversation. So just wondering when that next conversation for the rest of the money would be talked about? If that's scheduled, if it's not.
I can answer this. So we are still doing some research about retention bonuses and those things, and it has not been scheduled. What we're finding is there's not a whole lot of cities doing that. I think they just haven't gotten there yet, so we want to give it some time so that we kind of know what our competition is. But at this point, we haven't scheduled the next meeting until we get more information.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the recommended police and fire equipment totaling $451,344 using public safety money.
Second.
Okay, any further comments? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that ends our regular agenda tonight, regular action items at least. And item number 8 is the discussions, and so Parks discussion preview. Dave Adams, you're gonna help
Yep.
us with that?
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. Next Monday is going to be quite busy, it looks like, from about 3:30 all the way to the workshop. So to try to make this productive and efficient workshop, there's 3 items on that workshop that we're going to be discussing that all deal with parks. So just in an effort to try to have you guys think about some stuff before that workshop, we just put together, a brief summary and some questions you guys should be thinking about before next Monday evening. We really don't need any direction tonight unless there's some other additional things that you didn't see on this list that you would like us to bring back to that workshop. But more or less just kind of giving you a preview of next Monday so we can make it as productive as possible.
I think I really appreciated the material so we can actually come to the meeting with prepared, so thank you.
Yeah. I didn't have anything myself, any changes in it, so.
I
Anyone
think
else?
one thing I would want to note is that we approved the ordinance for the new park board how long ago? And I know that we were waiting for park budget, so for this budget for this year to go into place. And now we are in month 3, so I would like us to try to push towards filling that board, because I think, at least in my experience, the questions that we're gonna discuss next week, I would like to see the board discuss that, because as we all know, what happened with Belts Park is that we felt like there just wasn't community input. And so with all of these, I would hate to see us go down that same path. Although there are things that we can still talk about, and I think we can still have a robust conversation, but I would like to see the Parks Board get filled this year.
Have we been advertising for park board members at all, or?
I believe so. I think early when I started, I saw some. We did get one application in. I sent it on to the mayor once she's back in town. Her and I can have a conversation about those.
We do have a number of applicants. I don't think have a full board worth of applicants at the moment.
Yeah, that would, well, I'm sure that you'd still want to go through some sort of an interview process and find out where they're at and that kind of thing too. So what are we looking at, maybe 3 or 4 people so far?
I was just gonna look at the moment. It's been a while since I've taken a look.
I think it's in that range of 3 to 4, though.
Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't constitute how many we're looking for? 5 at least, I would imagine, huh?
Yeah, we would need 5. We have 2 of the remaining members would still like to, I think both of them were still seeking reappointment. It looks like we have 3 that have new expressed interest, maybe a 4th that had just come in while the mayor was away. So we're getting close if there's anybody interested. I think I was gonna try to see if we could follow back up with Mr. Egberg that showed up this evening that seemed to have an interest as well. That's the way we kind of try to get people involved, is when they've got an interest, see if they want to help us. So.
That answer your question at all, Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if we, is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as the parks discussion is concerned? Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Acting Mayor, so, is the plan for, that workshop to have Jamie Miche part of that conversation and hear that evening?
We're gonna tackle as a team. She's gonna present the special events. I'll present the athletic fields, and Abby will present belts, but all three of us will be there because we all kind of know a little bit everything, but kind of all be there to, because we all kind of know a little bit about everything, so.
I think, yeah, the important piece there is without this, and I would agree with Hannah, as soon as we can get this Parks Commissioner Board up and running, the better. But I would say that Jamie has the most history with, and the intimacy with the public as to how these things, like belts specifically, went through. And so to have her firsthand knowledge on that, I think is important.
Of course, yep,
Because at this point,
for sure.
she is again, the closest touch to the public on where the direction of parks has been or where we want to go with it, so.
You guys need anything else, Dave? No? Okay, we'll move on then. The Washington County Environmental Center, Trunk Highway 61 and Headwaters Parkway intersection, and the signal pole color discussion. You got lots of things.
Acting Mayor, City Council, before you is just a discussion item to give some guidance on what you would desire for the signal pole to be completed at that intersection of 61 and the Headwaters Parkway extension. So currently the signal pole at that location is green, the original construction. There's an existing agreement in place with MnDOT. We would have to modify that based on, you know, this pole system that's gonna be installed, and then the painting that the city would desire. In the packet, there's a couple figures, one showing the existing poles, basically trying to just show the colors, and then the street lighting that goes on the existing Headwaters Parkway is those Domus lights, the double for a while, those are black, and then the extension of the parkway that's gonna go into the Washington Environmental Center and then up to the future Public Works. Those will be single Domus black, and then Washington County obviously has to modify that entire signal in that intersection, and they came to us seeing if we would be okay with the galvanized standard MnDOT signal pole system, and we were guessing not. So that's why we're here before you tonight, to ask what color that the city council would want to support. Dave and I would guess, you're probably gonna guess blue, but we didn't want to be the one that guessed wrong, so we brought this item forward tonight.
Well, I think blue's been kind of the standard for the city. I mean, all over, right?
So before the downtown project was completed, Lakeside Memorial Park, and you had all that blue railing fencing and the blue lighting in that area, you did 3 signals within the community that had green on them, and then obviously we've evolved away from that as the city adopted that blue, so.
With the whole Headwaters being black, though, wouldn't it make sense to consider it black for that area? I mean, it's so separated from the rest of
It is, no
town
question
and the
about it.
blue.
Yep. But, yep.
There's an argument to be had for
There is.
every single color, yeah.
This is why we're bringing it, I guess.
I mean, is there any option to, as things get repainted throughout the city, to paint those black poles blue? I mean, to make that consistent?
What would all have to go into that if you were to change colors? You have to do a peel completely off.
Sandblast.
Yeah. So it's not just, you can't just go paint over it at some point in time. It would be a much larger project than just that. So,
And if it is painted, then we're the ones who are repainting it
yep.
throughout the year.
So the standard galvanized, just the base, you'd have to repaint the galvanized top. That wouldn't be painted until it, failed, so.
I guess I don't know.
The hardest decision tonight.
I think I would lean towards the blue in that maybe if there was some money down the road to get those lights too. So just There's gonna be some additional new lights on the, what would be the east side of 61, correct? So you potentially be looking at blue lights, then blue poles going to black on the west side of,
Yeah, they'll be a little further down away from the intersection. They won't provide any lighting for the actual intersection itself. That'll be all coming off whatever pole, signal pole you desire. If you kind of look at the second page of my memo, you can see the Cobra heads, how they come off the signals. That's how the intersection would be lit. If there was ever a roundabout constructed there, then you'd have different lighting standards like you normally see at the other ones. But what's being proposed is a signal system. And they'll have the Cobras coming up to light that intersection. Once you get farther away, you can see this is on the second page. That's the first lights and how far away it is from the intersection. So, I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of ways. I guess the other thing to consider is if there's ever long-term, you know, something that has some aesthetics going down 61 that are more uniform to a gateway sign, that's now all of a sudden if you do have a black pole, are you gonna continue
Yeah,
that further south or north, or then what would your next transition be? Or currently all your permanent poles are painted blue. The two behind me on 61 right here, I don't consider those permanent. There's discussion and plans on that stuff right now, so that's why they're kind of sitting as is. But all the other signal light poles within the city that are permanent are blue.
And the county's gonna add lights to the east of 61,
Yes,
and those ones are gonna be the black poles.
yeah. There'll be that
Yep.
signal, single one. Single.
Those are gonna come manufactured black. I mean, is there an option to get them in blue?
No, they're a standard Connexus pole. So
Got it.
Connexus would provide the pole and design and layout.
I think you made a good argument for the blue, really.
I'm just trying to throw stuff out
Yeah.
now so you don't say after the fact that I didn't bring it up.
I think it should all match. They should go.
So if you say blue, I'll probably think of something else to say is, no, just, again, Dave and I had no idea what to guess. I try to provide as much information on your existing
Right.
colors in the community, what things might you be thinking long-term. But the city, or the county's gonna have to provide the color and the specifications so that package can be put together and they move forward on that upon them getting MnDOT approvals at that intersection.
Yeah, I'd agree, blue.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of leaning toward the blue right now, so. Is that okay?
I got 4
Everybody?
blues.
4 blues? Okay, thank you, Ryan. And by the way, the Washington County Environmental Center, I know it's not really part of it, but they're moving along there too, aren't they?
Yeah, we're gonna be starting sewer and water extensions, is that next week already? Next week, so you'll see some activity up at the county road 50 and working south.
Okay,
We won't be open cutting the road, there'll be jacking underneath the road, so it'll still be open to traffic, but then there'll be some pretty deep trenches as they head south towards their building and provide a future stub for the public works site too.
they've had a heck of a winter to get the job done this year. Wow, good for them.
I love it.
Me too. All right, so it's on to staff updates, so we'll start with Abby and,
Just a few quick updates. Arts in the Park vendor application, the application period is still open. We are nearing almost capacity though, with only being open for about 2 weeks. We are continuing to seek sponsorship for Arts in the Park. The council had said that they'd like to see that program seek some outside sponsorships, so if you know folks that are interested. And then there are about half of the 20 community gardens available for rental this year. So if anybody's interested in any of those things, you can contact City Hall, Jamie Mouche here, and can get you set up.
thank you. Christina, you have anything?
Nothing for me today.
Okay. Amanda, anything more?
Yes, Your Honor, Council. So as you are likely aware, on Thursday, right now, we have interview panels scheduled starting at 3:30, first with council and then with the community stakeholder panel for the city administrator expedited search for Christina. I wanted to confirm that that is still what council would like to do versus instructing DDA to move forward with the full recruitment process.
So you're looking for a decision tonight then?
Yes, well, just, yeah, want to confirm if we're moving forward with the interviews on Thursday or if we're taking a left turn and going to the full DDA process.
I guess what's everybody's pleasure? We'll listen to everybody here and. Blake, have an opinion or?
Of course I do. No,
The rest of us.
so I would be comfortable moving forward. I do know that in the last a couple days that we've learned that maybe we may not be fully aligned, or some of the council may not be fully aligned with what the interim city administrators would require for salary. And so I think that's, or package of benefits, I think that is something that we probably need to have a conversation here about now to make, so we're not, taking anyone else's time away or wasting our time. I don't want to use the term waste, but I think we need to somehow get close to the same area so that if there's gonna be some negotiation, that's part of the deal, but, some new things have come to light on that. So
Yeah.
just want to bring that up as a conversation point for
Sure.
council.
Anna, do you have any opinion on what you'd like to say?
I agree with Blake. To me, there's pros and cons of moving things fast and then slowing things down. And then if there are things that are so far apart, then is there a benefit for still speeding things up or slowing things down?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be curious, knowing that, what's been communicated to me is, be more of a bigger ask than what we were anticipating. I guess if we're gonna end up going down that route, I would just prefer to kind of see what the landscape looks like in terms of the candidate pool. Because if we're, as a body, gonna make a significant commitment on the part of the city, I think we owe it to the public to do our best and create that environment where the consultants we've hired have had the freedom to bring us, the best options, which may very well be in the room already.
Oh, right, exactly. I absolutely agree. And my thing, I think we owe it to the public to, the expedited thing as a whole gives me a little bit of a shiver because, Christina has to make some choices along the way, and we have to make some choices along the way. It just seems to me that I don't think we should be stopping the process. I think we should be moving forward with the whole process and along the way, and Christina would be part of that situation. But I would definitely want to look at the whole pool and have an opportunity that we can say to the public, we did our very best and we did our due diligence on this. So that's my opinion for what it's worth.
So should we direct DDA to open it up?
That'd be my opinion. That's just one man, one vote, that we keep moving.
I think for me also, part of it is, it might be the ask of it, maybe we're not the same, but, we're in the process of hiring a new city clerk. This new role, this new city administrator, unless something changes, is gonna be separate, not have that clerk title or title or job roles. So with that increased price that we're gonna be paid, that we paid more than what Karen was making, and then potentially Dan Undum's backfilling his position, that likely would also be an increase in salary. We could be looking upwards to $100,000 in increase in budget for the administration department. And so that gives me a little bit of pause at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just as much that as the current ask of the.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're in agreement to move on? to
Right,
Keep
right,
moving, yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, do you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. So I think that's the direction we want to go as far as I can see.
Okay,
This has nothing to do with Christina, it has, against her or whatever, just the fact that I think we all in agreement that we want a broader search on the whole thing.
okay.
So,
Thank you, Your Honor. Counsel, just to be clear then, I will be canceling Thursday's meeting
Okay.
for the expedited interviews, because obviously if we're going through the DDA process, there will be the entire pool will be going through an interview panel. I will let the stakeholders know that have responded to the inquiry that please keep a pin in it. I will be reaching out sometime in the future to set up the stakeholder panel. Unless I hear differently from you, I'll go ahead and keep the same names that were on this one. And then likewise, Monday's special meeting at 3:30, that one will also be canceled. So those will all come off tomorrow. But if you have some people in the public that reach out that seem a little bit confused, they might need a little bit of education around that. I will work with staff and DDA to do our best to kind of make sure that the public knows so that people don't show up. My biggest fear is I don't want people to show up here on Thursday. So I'll talk with staff, and maybe I or somebody will just kind of maybe hang out for a little while here on Thursday. I really don't want to upset the public. So,
Well, that's the only point I want to make about the whole thing. I think if we didn't do this, we're going to have the public asking, why weren't we looking, on a broad search? And I'm just concerned about that. So,
totally understand. Thank you for the feedback.
okay, so that's all you need from us then, Amanda, for now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Dave, you're next.
No updates tonight.
And Ryan?
Sorry, you might want to write some of this down. Start off with some just brief updates. Last Friday, we had the bid opening for the 2024 local street maintenance project. Bids came in really good. We'll bring those back to the next meeting in March for potential award. Just a friendly reminder again, the water efficiency grants ends the second quarter, June 30th. No more applications can be obtained. Monday, March 18th, I know we got a lot of things going on, but Washington County will be holding a public open house for the Broadway maintenance project, 4:30 to 6:30. And then March 26th, you'll want to write this one down. This is going to affect 12th Street pretty significantly with water main and sewer tie-in for Mr. Car Wash. They need to connect into trunk line facilities on 12th Street, just south of the Chipotle area in there. So we'll have a full road closure set up. They'll start at 7 o'clock at nights, and have a detour set up too. And then the message board will be out. There'll be a bunch of stuff on social media. There'll be flyers handed out, because there will also be with that, a complete water main shutdown shortly to follow. Obviously we go put up the road closure. You're gonna have to get in there, dig it up, get down to it. Sewer's deeper. They'll make the sewer connection first, bring that out past, outside 12th Street right away, and then have everything shut down and then tie into the water main, because they have to cut it in. We can't just do a wet tap because of the size of the pipe and condition of the pipe. So they'll be bringing that back out, but there's a lot of private utilities you'll be crossing underneath. There'll be storm sewer hanging in the air, so this could be something that maybe finishes by 7 in the morning, or it lingers a little longer. If they got everything tied in and, ready then out of the road, we did give them permission. They could come back in the morning right away and patch the road in, but
Who knows? Yeah.
historically, that would tell you this is gonna take multiple nights to complete this work, so. But that's gonna be well communicated, and that's anticipated to happen on March 26th. So, into March, early April, we're hoping to hear if we were successful in the local road improvements grant that we submitted, same grant that we were successful on funding the roundabouts at Fenway and Headwaters Parkway and the south leg of the Parkway. And then you're gonna wanna write these two things down for sure. This is related to Eureka Avenue. Our first public open house will be April 15th. And then we'll come to the city council meeting, April 22nd, for a city council discussion item and a presentation on that too. Basically what we're doing, and we're not approving plans or specs at this point in time, but we need to get to a decision on a final footprint so we can submit to the DNR, where we'd have to go through and obtain that easement through the property that was obtained back in the day with federal funds. So that's a federal process with the DNR, which is basically a minimum of a year just to run that process. So that'll be our first public engagement. We've had a lot of, conversation with some residents here and there, but not anything formally public. The DNR has been very involved in this to date, working with us on shoreline and fishing pier and parking locations. Rice Creek Watershed District has been very involved with us on this too. Lots of meetings with those organizations, agencies, and then city staff as well. So now it's time to come to you guys to see what we got and see if you want to move forward with that as the final footprints. It's at least 7 concepts were developed, you know, kind of where we really wanted to land. And then we developed some way over here. So when we worked through the permitting and the agency side, we kind of all agree where we really wanted to land, but how we had to minimize wetland impacts and other environmental things along that corridor. So some pretty poor soils through there too. So there's some other things we're working through on the geotechnical side with surcharging and stuff like that, that adds time to a project. And how do you work around some of that schedule? We're still trying to find out some more information on that before we can probably give a definite schedule at this point, but it will not be a 24 project. And trying to work around some other things and see how it best fits too, so you're not in there multiple times or long duration, or how you can get in and out too, and you know, with all the other projects that are going on around this area. So that's what I just wanted to cover. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out with Christina and I can send this in writing too.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan, appreciate it. It's a long list, it's good. Al, how about you?
Mayor, members of the council, I have one update. If you looked at the weather today, much of southern Minnesota was on a red flag warning for wildfires. In our area, we're in a high risk for wildfires. We're extremely dry, and it's been that way all winter. Looking at the extended forecast, it looks like just minimal rain for the next couple of weeks. The DNR is still issuing burn permits and allowing us to issue burn permits as well. If you have a 3x3 rec fire, a burn permit is not required, but we ask that you use extreme caution and common sense. For anything larger than 3x3, it will require a burn permit. Them can be obtained from the city hall here, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. You can also go to the DNR website to look at daily updates for wildland fire risk, plus whether or not they're issuing burning permits. I would expect that with the forecasted precipitation, dry weather, and the typical winds that we get in the spring, that we will probably fall under red flag warnings here in the future. Last week we had our DNR, annual DNR wildland fire training at the fire station. We put together our brush trucks and UTVs and all of our wildland equipment and prepared that for what we think is probably going to be a busy season. This is all 6 weeks earlier than we normally do it.
Yeah.
So just,
It's gonna be an unbelievable
the
summer.
update is, if you're going to burn, use common sense and caution.
Yeah. Thanks, Al. Appreciate it. As far as I'm concerned, don't build any fires. Rick, what do you have for us tonight?
No updates this
Okay,
evening.
thank you. All right, that was to mayor and city council updates. Blake? You-
No updates
No
tonight.
updates, okay. Hannah, how about you?
I got one.
One,
It's a good
okay.
one. Christina and I attended the League City Day on the Hill last week, which was super fun. That was the first time I ever went. And so the League staff gave us updates on bills and specific things. One in particular is regarding housing. So the House file is 4009, and then the Senate files, there's 2 of them. It's 3964 and 3980. And I'll go through a list of things that those bills have in them, because it would greatly affect the city. So it would force an administrative process with no public approval or hearings. It would require cities to accept accessory dwelling units on all residential lots regardless of size. It allows property owners to subdivide lots by rights, prohibits off-street requirements, allows multifamily dwellings to be constructed in any zoning district that allows commercial activity, and broadly prohibits design standards. So that's just some pretty big things. So the League was, Christine and I went to the Senate hearing on the 2 bills for the Senate, and the League testify during it, and so it was super informative, and they did a really good job. But I did see in the league's email today that it's going to go to the next committee hearing, so something to
All right. Thank you, Hannah.
be aware of.
I don't think it's good news, but. Leaf, do you have anything for us?
No updates tonight.
Okay, and for me, we had an airport commission meeting last Wednesday, and we discussed our capital improvement plan, which needed to be at MnDOT by the 1st of May for future plans out there. And then we also discussed hangar rent increases that are going to happen this year. And we also talked about the projects that we've already approved that are going to be happening sometime after the open house, which is on August 17th. So the fly-in will be on August 17th this year. And so that's about it for me. So with that, our next item is we're going to be going into closed session. So I'll make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subchapter 3B for confidential attorney-client discussion regarding threatened litigation in regards to a contract dispute with Taylor West contract for the downtown stormwater BMPs 1.126684, after which we will return to council chambers for adjournment only.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
We are in closed session.